I think that the television show is obviously it's a lot of characters. It feels a little bit like you're meeting a group of people and seeing how the Purge affects them over the long term and everything they've been building up to. With Lex, she just has one night that she has to get through, and you don't really see what was happening to her before. You get a sense of it, but you don't really get to see it. In this, you get to see what the people's lives were before the Purge and then as it leads up. So it gives you more time because you have 10 hours, obviously, as opposed to 90 minutes.
What can we expect, with that included depth? What kind of insight are we going to get into the Purge that we haven't had before?
I think that I think the movies portray it in a very either you purge or you don't purge in the movies, and then we generally have a group of people that we fall in love with who are out there, unfortunately, on that night, and they're struggling to get through it. In the TV show, it's a little bit more morally ambiguous. There's moral ambiguity because when the Purge becomes a thing in your life and it's existed, you start to, at least in the television show, you start to feel like maybe I should be participating in this. And so there are good people in the television show who find themselves tantalized by what the Purge, how that can help their life, and then you get to see the toll that takes on them.
Can you tell us about your character and where she falls on the moral ambiguity scale?
Well, in the first Purge, the film, I played Nia Charms, who is the activist in the community. So she's definitely anti-Purge. She's fully aware of what the NFFA is doing to our community, which is essentially bribing the lower class into, committing to a night where they don't really want to do it. But like he said, there's money involved. There's financial gain. So it does put you in a kind of complex situation. And even Naya, the character, also has to go through a bit of an obstacle because ultimately it's life or death. And even though she's against it, she unfortunately has to become involved with it to protect herself and her family.
And save the day.
And save the day.
Let's not forget that.
The timing is certainly hit for businesses
Well, the thing about that is DeMonico has been doing that since he started. I mean, especially like the third Purge election year, I remember reading that script and saying, these things can't happen, and because he wrote it a year and a half before Trump wasn't even a consideration when he wrote it, and I don't think that everyone was convinced that Hillary was going to be the candidate when he wrote it. And to have that turn of events happen, and DeMonico to be right there, he's a soothsayer when it comes to this part of our culture. He just knows what's going to happen, and so we just kind of sit back and rely on him to tell us where we're going, really. And so somehow he knows what's going to happen a year and a half from now. So feel free to ask him. I hope when you sit down with him, he'll tell you. I haven't asked yet.
So the movie already has such a big following. Does that kind of make it easier to go into a television show to know you've already got a lot of fans that are really passionate about it?
I don't know the answer to that because when they first brought up the notion of the television show, the company I'm with, Platinum Dunes, is primarily, although we do some television, we're primarily a feature company. And so my first concern was I don't want to hurt the franchise by putting something on television. Now, that was when it was a concept because I didn't know what the story was. I just was concerned they would cannibalize our audience. I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like we have created a world where she lives, and then there's a whole other world where people have been living for a longer time and it's more a part of their life, and it does feel like two divergent worlds. But I mean, we'll all know in mid-September. It is crazy that the movie and the television show come out within 2 months of one another. I mean, I can't think of any time, can you, when that's happened before? I'm not aware of that ever happening before. So it's an experiment that we're kind of all participating in. Luckily, no one's going to actually get killed.
Will there be any potential for crossovers between the movies and the television show, or is that something you guys are looking at?
The fact that you even asked that question means that there might be a Purge 5, and I'm sitting here and I've not heard anything about a Purge 5. But This is certainly a world that Jason and James and myself, Michael, and my partner Faye and Drew, we all love this world. It's fun to be a part of these movies. It feels like every time you make one, it's a little bit like throwing a hand grenade on culture, and so that's it's fun to be a part of it. So if that works, I would love that. As long as she's in all the movies going forward, I'm good. That's right. That's what I'm thinking.
You're calling it a 10-episode limited series. Are there any plans to make it further than that, or what you just
if there are, I've not heard anything about that. But look, I mean, in the current world, if something works, they keep bringing it back. Just too soon to tell if people are going to watch it. The television show definitely has a different feel than the movies. I mean, the movies are pretty brutal and grisly, and you can't be that way on television. So I wonder if the audience will react more to the characters as opposed to the lack of violence on the television show. It'll be interesting to see how people take that. So I'm waiting and hoping.
How does the show land? I mean, you talk about this as well, like the violence and the brutality of the movie. How did they decide on
Yeah, I think that part of it was that was Blumhouse Television, and Jason has a huge deal at Universal. So I think that USA and Sci-Fi came to Blum and said we want to do this. So there was never really an opportunity where we were not going to do it there.
So tell us about the TV series and how it kind of fits in with the movie universe and also expands upon it.
It's great. I think, what's kind of awesome, I always say, in the movies you have 10 minutes of like character and 80 minutes where they survive the night. So when they approached me about the series, it was enticing because it's such a pure premise. And there's 80,000 different stories you could do off the premise. And the idea of being able to take that premise and build on the franchise and sort of expand it out. So not only do we, the 10 episodes take place over one night like the movies do, but, through the use of flashbacks, we get to really sort of break out of the night and we get to see what has influenced our characters in the past that then inform the decisions they make or don't make on Purge night. So it's just a much bigger canvas. And as a novelist, it was very enticing, and it's just been fun. I mean, just to open these characters up and really get to know them a lot more than you would just literally be able to do in a 90-minute or 2-hour film.
What are some of the ways that is it in the same universe as the movies?
You mean the universe we live in? Literally?
Well,
No. It is. Yes. It's. I think I have some of the younger writers geek out on this stuff, but the show technically takes place 10 years after the first Purge, which we just learned happened in 2017. But we make no allowances for futuristic anything. So we want it to feel like it can happen 30 minutes from now, 30 yards away. So, but it's definitely in the world. It's the NFFA. It's all the we tip our hat. We have the triage vans. There's a few things that have been established in the films that we use. Definitely the rules that have been established in the movies. We would sit around in the writers' room like rabbinical scholars, without a Bible, or like constitutional scholars without a well, what about this? But they couldn't do that because So just trying to build that universe in a way that's sort of relatable to the films is kind of a fun exercise, and I think we did a pretty good job of it.
And the political culture we're in definitely has to have something to do with making it. Tell us about that.
I mean, one, we're not trying to be that show, or really trying to be that direct or specific. However, it is reflective of the times we're living right now. And for me, that's exciting to just allow what we do as artists and filmmakers to reflect our everyday humanity. And so, we go from just seeing the basics of living and life and the things we need, which is just loving and protecting family, and seeing ourselves within the workplace and just even kind of, definitely reflecting kind of just the movements we're going through, whether it's the Me Too movement or what have you in the workplace, seeing that play out, so it does reflect our current social commentary.
Yeah, I think it's important, and we're very serious about this. It's not a political show. It's not a polemic you know, if you're on the left or the right, you should be able to watch the show and enjoy it, because it's really, you know, we really try to drill down, like, what would you do? And we deal with themes like, you know, racism, sex, and the worst thing, but we also deal with class. We deal with, like, deindustrialization. Like, if you did everything right your whole life and you show up to work one day and they lock the factory gate and it's like, fuck you, you know, then what? You know what I mean? So it's really important for us that it's not seen as like a show that's anti this or anti that. It's just, you know, as human beings, you know, what influences us, what affects us, and then, you know, given the sort of this sort of crazy idea of the purge, would we or would we not take advantage of that? And if we do, what does that say about us? You know, again, do we all not do bad things because of our moral compass or because of civic structures, right? And if you remove the civic structures, what's left? Well, it's your moral compass, and then what would you do? So for us, that's the exciting, enticing question that I think drew both of us to the show, and we sort of answer it through these different individuals over the course of the night.
In terms of developing the look of the show directorially, how much did you draw from the movies and how much did you really make it your own and set up something new?
I threw the movies all so far out the window now. I'm just kidding. I mean, as if anything, like as an artist, you want to be able to kind of have a contribution and helping create something. And so that was exciting to know that they wanted that and they gave me the freedom and support to, I think, really help find the identity for this series. But it is absolutely, you know, reflective and I think respectful to the franchise. But just as with anything, I take my starting place from the narrative and from the script. You know, story comes first, and those are the things that really inspire any choice I make. So I start from that psychological place. So in a sense, these are new characters, and so it really necessitated a new experience and a visual treatment that was fresh. And so that was fun in and of itself for me to be able to, know where this narrative was unfolding in these 10 hours and give it a starting place that could, evolve over time. So that was fun.
You know, the great thing about Anthony, as a TV writer, come up with a story, and then Anthony would come in every time. He would just bring sort of a breathtaking sort of cinematic approach that as writer, we wouldn't have done that, but we're glad someone's doing it. And I don't know if you've seen the trailer that was cut. I think we're showing, if you guys go on, we're showing a clip. I mean, it's visually stunning. It's very, the cinematography, we have Kevin McKnight, who Anthony's worked before. It's a really rich and sort of powerfully told visual style, which I think is kind of amazing. It literally, and I don't say this lightly, it will look like nothing else on television. I think in a really cool way. It's really, and again, every time I would have settled for this, he's like, no, we're going to do this. And it paid off sort of brilliantly. So, oh my God.
So the films are known for, their all the creative kills and stuff like that. How are you going to be bringing that to the television screen?
Are you going to the panel?
Not. I have more press stuff. So.
Anyway, I think what we're showing is a pretty cool, very memorable kill. But anyway, you can take that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's again just as trying to look at things differently. As we are in a gray space right now, I think just in the world. I try to allow that to influence what I do and my choices within that to really kind of, be reflective of that and be a mirror, for ourselves even in that. So some of these scenes allowed me to really think so far out of the box and be impressionistic with things that were even somewhat, it was open, so you got to experience it, feel it, be affected by it, but also it left room for you to actually, I think, kind of follow through with, whatever commentary you wanted to make from it. So I don't know, it was fun. It was an art project that we got to really kind of just, have fun with.
Miguel, and Miguel is a Marine who's a bit of he's got a bit of a hard edge to him, but he's on a noble mission. and he receives this cryptic letter from his sister, and he comes back to town just before the commencement, and he's about to start embarking this journey to find his sister and face all the senseless violence throughout the night, because his sister and his family is the most important thing to him, and he's a great character, and we pick up Miguel at the beginning of the show right into the madness of the Purge, so it's fun.
What drew you to that role?
I mean, the franchise itself, most definitely. I felt like when I was told about it, they said they were going to do it. They were telling they're going to do a Purge television show, which I think is perfect for what the Purge is. I feel like, and credit to our creators, Thomas Kelly and James and Monica, they created a great storyline. And I feel like with the idea of the Purge, you can get a lot of it throughout a season of 10 episodes. So every episode feels like a movie, and so you get a lot more out of it. And they created great characters that I feel like the audience and the fans are going to really get emotionally invested in, and it's crazy. It's crazy. It's exciting, that's for sure. Yeah.
So where does your character fall in on the line? Coming from that military background, are you going to be purging? Are you going to be trying to just protect your family?
Miguel, he's not for it. He's not for it, and because he's in the military, there's an interesting scene in the show where he runs into one of the guys that he was in war with, and I don't want to give too much away, but they talk about something that's occurring, right? And it's a moment where you get to see Miguel where and what he feels about the Purge, where he's mentally, you know what I'm saying? So, and honestly, like Miguel's character, Purge or no Purge, he's gonna find his sister no matter what, So, yeah, I mean, it's. Again, I'm trying not to give too much away. Forgive me.
Is there anything you can say about what kind of situation his sister's in without giving too much away?
I can't. No, I can't. So that's what the cryptic letter was about.
Yeah.
She gets involved into a mess, and man, as Miguel goes through a lot just to find her. So yeah, that's as much as I can say.
Were you a fan of the movies before you took the role?
Yeah, when I saw the first film, when it first came out, I thought it was good. I thought it was something different. I think the idea of the Purge, excuse me, it's we know what it is. Murder being legalized. It's just not the most realistic possibility. Let's hope not. But I thought it was great. I thought it was a cool, simple idea, and it was really put together really well. And credit to James and Monica. He created this amazing franchise, and the movies kept getting better and better. As they kept progressing, and again, the television show, it's perfect for the Purge, and it's gonna be wild. You should be excited because it's gonna be crazy.
It sounds a little bit like Miguel's kind of the moral high ground in the show. Mm-hmm.
It's pretty straightforward with him at the beginning, and I think that's the fun thing about the Purge is it's us as the audience and the fans. You start a conversation. What would you do if Purge was real? How would you purge? You know what I mean? Would you purge? But Miguel, he's not for it. He's just not for it at all.
What would you do?
If I had to purge? I wouldn't purge. I would not purge. I don't think I have the heart to kill someone. But in not a real world, I don't know. I think I don't know what I would do. We talked about what type of weapons we would pick. A flamethrower sounds interesting to me. Just a big old flamethrower gun, It's like, so I mean, it's fun. It's fun just to talk about that stuff.
What can fans of the movie franchise look for that's going to be more expanded in the television show?
I'm sorry, say.
What can fans of the original movie, what are they going to be excited about getting expanded in the television?
I think the characters. I think that the characters, because when you watch the movies, it's really condensed. You know what I mean? I feel like with the show, you get to really dive into the characters. And the cool thing about the show is we do a flashback thing throughout the show, so you get to really know why these characters are, purging or not purging. You know what I mean? So you get to really dive into it. And so I think more than anything is the characters, because at the end of the day, the star is the Purge. You know what I mean? So the Purge is it's always going to be the main thing, but the characters are going to really be you're going to get emotionally invested in. Cool.
I just didn't want to be a hub. But
You can ask away.
Okay.
I love talking about it.
Yeah.
And there's so many things I want to tell you guys, but I fucking can't. You know what I mean? Like,
So excited.
it's like I can't share.
It's clear to me that this, you could compare the Purge to the Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Violent and
You know what they should do? There needs to be a Purge video game. I think
Oh, God,
I think it'd be cool.
Like,
I think it'd be
Grand Theft Auto
interesting.
style.
Yeah.
Purge, that'd be great.
Grand Theft Auto is kind of the Purge.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess you can
But
kind
the
of say it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, kind of going into the TV show, how is the violence going to be handled? Because it's on TV now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it can't be as graphic.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's done really well. It's done very cinematically. You know what I mean? Like it's done well to the point where for example, when somebody's getting chopped up or something. You know what I mean? Like you'll know. It doesn't. So it's the build up. It's the way creatively our directors each episode have really, their approach have all been different, and it's all been great. And believe me, there's violence. There's still some stuff in there.
And then he said the girl is on moral high ground at the beginning. Does that mean that he's going to kind of have an arc there?
What are you doing September 4th? You're gonna have to watch September 4th.
All right.
Do you have any favorite sets or favorite memories from set?
Yeah. Actually,
talk about tell us about
I can. I can definitely can. The Gauntlet. Yeah, we can talk. They haven't got me, so we can talk. So there's a thing we're doing on the show called the Gauntlet. So picture American Ninja Warrior of Death.
Okay.
Yeah. So and Miguel gets captured, and he has to partake in this thing. So and that's early on in the show. So you can get an idea of what that's like. Yeah.
last saw you at Dirk Gently being
Dirk Gently's Mystic Detective Agency.
So how does Good Leader Travis
How does it-
compare to being bought last year at UC America?
It's definitely cleaner. It's a cleaner experience, as in like physically dirt-wise cleaner. There is a similarity in that both characters were written for men, and when I was cast, they went in and changed all the pronouns. So that's cool. It's cool to like be in that kind of weird.
Are you noticing specific differences about the way that the character is written because of that? Like, did she maybe have more agency than how female characters are usually written?
Yeah, and I feel like it's 2018 that we're getting to audition for these.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And it's a completely unsexualized character. I mean, I could have like gained 50 pounds and nobody would have noticed. I'm from head to feet covered in like huge blue thick cough. Can I tell you guys about the character?
No, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So I play Good Leader Tavis, who is this like passionate, benevolent woman of faith who guides my loving teenagers to their death on Purge night. It's really fun. I loved it.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about how the influence that she exerts over these teens?
I can tell you that when I auditioned, so there's a lot of like sermons and stuff, and when I was shooting it, I just did my best, right? And the only direction that could give me were like, oh, we
if you could really just like persuade us. I was like, I'm doing my best, man. It's like, because they use the word charisma so much in the character breakdown. So I was like, this is what you get. Hope it's charismatic. So I did. It was real charismatic.
Were there any real life leaders or like cult leaders or religious leaders or anything like that, political leaders that you looked to in terms of like how to deliver a speech like that?
I watched I watched a lot of sermons. I watched a lot of sermons by women. I watched 150 million hours of like YouTube. They call it. There's some like there's a hip hop preacher who's all over YouTube that I got really into. And the deal is you just believe what you say and gesticulate. I feel like they gesticulate a lot. So I was really getting into it. But I play her as a true believer. I'm doing what I think is best. There's not a hint of malice in it. I think that's scarier.
What was it that attracted you to the role?
Oh, so much. I mean, I imagine being so convinced of something that you are willing to die for it. I mean, I think it's just like the most alive you could be, right? And she's so driven and brave. It's actually one of my favorite characters I've ever played. I loved it. I've killed teenagers. Yeah, I really love her. It's so funny because I get to set and we're like, you're terrifying. I'm like, what are you talking about? I am saving the world. Yeah, I mean, it was great. I wish I didn't question things as much as the good leader. Though it's probably better to question.
Have you seen any of the Purge movies before you took this role?
Hell yes. Yeah, I'm a fan of the genre. I'm a fan of the movies and the franchise. I think The Purge is a big idea. It's a big, cool idea. I think that, it's got definitely political undertones, to say the least, but it's not didactic. We don't throw it in your face. And it's ultimately just like a scary premise that's full of suspense and like dudes in weird masks and these like bloody nun gangs. There's crazy ways that they kill each other in the show. It's fun.
Do you think audiences are also kind of going to fall in love with your character in the way that you have, or are they going to be rooting against her?
Do you think they're going to fall in love with me? I hope they do. I mean, I have such affection for her. I think that other people thought I was terrifying. So, you guys, if DM me, like tell me on social media if you guys like me or hate me. I'd be very curious. Not me, but Good Leader Tavis. Don't tell me anything. Only that you love me.
And then if the Purge were real, what would you personally do first?
I've been making like ex-boyfriend jokes all day to that question. I mean, so the thing that's not really comment on the Purge is you don't only have to kill people, right? So you can go out and it can be like an adrenaline thing. I would probably be at some kind of party. Maybe do like a truth or dare thing. I kind of try to live a little. I couldn't kill anybody. I mean, I'd like to say that I could. I could probably like kill somebody who's trying to kill me. But I don't. I have no real hate in my heart. Most of the time.
But you'd make it out alive.
I think I'd make it out alive. I think I would. I'd give somebody a run for their money. How about you? Would you?
I think it probably goes like steal some puppies or something. I don't know.
I would lock
make it
my
out?
doors.
Would I make it out alive?
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Right. So can you tell us a little bit about your character?
Jane Barber is a young, driven, Ivy League educated woman who, most importantly to know, is self-made and has an incredibly strong moral compass and is kindness incarnate. She's a genuinely good-natured human being, and I haven't played one of those kinds of people since my time at Yale Drama with my last assignment, which was Juliet of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. So it's a beautiful challenge to have. For lack of a better phrase, I know it's a corny term, but it is what I trained for, and it's just nice to really play moment to moment and stay true to the text and what the argument is in the scene.
Where does she fall in the Purge spectrum? Is she for the Purge? Not so much?
No, I think there's a lot of moral conflict for her because of what I've just explained to you all. She's a woman. Yes, she is 32. And she's young, but she's uniquely driven and uniquely gifted. And you will discover that throughout the series of season 1. And her only way to remedy that is she's a woman who's always taken advantage of her opportunities fair and square. And the Purge is an opportunity. And this is the first night that Jane is out. And she decides to remedy her situation by hiring a Purge assassin. And that is where we open on episode 1 of season 1 for Jane.
Being classically trained, what are some of the challenges and rewards of transitioning to television work?
There really isn't, because I was fortunate enough to come into the second renaissance or golden age of television, whatever that means to all of us nowadays, because we're, 20 years in, so I don't know how much we can use that term anymore. But it's very much like, I find, a stage experience or a feature film experience where the level of writing, which, let's be honest, that's where it starts, at least for me, on the page, is there. And we see it with stage talent coming in, and then we see it with feature talent coming into the medium of television. It's a very powerful moment for the medium, and it continues to be. And I don't think it's really going anywhere, from streaming video to on-demand, basic, premium, and even broadcast network television. I don't mean to have a negative connotation with saying even, but we see it with This Is Us. We even see it with strong procedurals like Special Victims Unit, which I've just been gifted a second episode in the most recent last season.
Did you watch any of the movies before taking?
I did. I saw the first, the Ethan Hawke film when it came to cable and was mortified, and really had every opportunity to see it in the picture house, but did not, because I just found the premise to be inherently horrific, which is why I know it belongs to that genre. But with the television series, we really meditate on the human condition with what's come out of the writer's room that's been spearheaded by Tom Kelly. So it's been great, and we've been staying true to the franchise, and we're happy to be a part of it. Excuse me. Hello.
All right, good.
I'm very well.
How much of a fan are you of the horror genre in itself?
Well, one of my favorite movies is Scream, just because I'm a funny kind of gal. I'm very tongue-in-cheek, and it is masterful in its use of cameo, which has been used throughout the genre. Strong use of cameo, strong use of humor, making fun of itself, and then the horror, the premise of the movie, which is getting a call from God knows whom in an encrypted voice, and then they're outside, and you don't know who it is. But I just thought that was a masterpiece of film, really, and was just beautifully tongue-in-cheek and made fun of itself, and secure in its writing, and the incredible breadth of talent, particularly Drew Barrymore and Rose McGowan for me, and Matthew Lillard. I just thought those three, and who else is it? Jamie Kennedy? I mean, come on. So, but that whole cast, top to bottom, and then the writing and direction was just above and beyond. So, and I've been eating my Jiffy Pop ever since, so.
So when you're working with a guy like Anthony Hemingway, who's done a lot of these TV series, what are you picking up from him that's different from other directors that you can take away with you for your next project?
Well, I'm so happy that you asked that question because I've been trying to work with Anthony since probably 4 years ago. So this has been almost half a decade in the making, our collaboration. And I couldn't be more happy to be working with him. It was worth the wait. And with that, you just get, you just get matured. You get honesty, which is all you can hope for from your guide, which is the lens. And in that case, the first 2 episodes, that would be Anthony. And there was a lot of trust in that. So I was very happy. He's a fantastic human being and just the epitome of professionalism and truly, truly talented. He's not like the other children.